All right, everyone, it's time for the last garden update of summer, technically, because here in Vermont, September is basically the beginning of autumn. You know, it's at least a couple weeks in. Here we see this thing that used to have straw and soil and stuff in it. I'm starting to use this as an actual composter. You know, it's got gaps at the side. There's some compost in there, most of which is already digested. It's already perfect. I spread a bunch of it around here. Look at the amount of tilth that's in that soil. I'll be able to grow anything there. Now what I've done here, you can see this one's a little bit uncovered. I have to dig it a little deeper in. What I've done is I took an enormous amount of these. I'll show you. Yeah, this is really cool here. You can sort of walk into the garden. Once this grows up, like next summer, you'll be like hidden. You'll be able to take a nap here. Sticks like these, sticks. What I've done is take these lengths of wood. Some are larger, some are smaller. And underneath the collards this year, I hugelkultured, which is I took basically logs and put them in a cross-hatched pattern and then grew stuff on top. Now I looked at how healthy they were, and I looked at how moist and wonderful the soil is. You know, even now looking at it, that's some really good soil in there, and some of that is due to the hugelkulture. What I've decided to do is basically pump wood into this whole area. This entire area, you can't see it because it's below the soil for the most part. There's a layer of wood underneath, and I may put a second layer on and then pour a bunch of garden soil in and raise this all up one more layer of brick. It's still kind of makeshift at the moment, but what I plan to do, probably it'll be fine the way it is and I won't need that second layer, which means basically I don't have to do anything further other than do some weeding. And then what I need to do is transplant. I need to cut apart perennials like this. I can get 3 cuttings off of it easily. I'll cut it up. I know it looks a little bit weird right now because I didn't fully transplant it before. Things that are perennials, I'm going to split apart, like all these pink bushes. Those are a perennial. I think it's phlox or something. Cut everything apart, transplant them. That means the hostas, some of them around the tree. What I really want to do is have another layer of hostas around the peach tree. That's sort of a no-go zone. They take care of themselves. They don't really need anything other than you water them and fertilize them like twice a year. That's basically it. All of these little areas here can be used for excess vegetables as long as it's a kind that's not predated upon very much. There's actually almost as much growing space, believe it or not, in the garden the way it is here as there was before in an area that was almost twice as large. Because now there aren't paths, there are just these little indentations that allow you to go in and actually reach the middle of each area. For the most part, other than the area that'll be covered in hostas, everything else will be cultivated. So this is going to be a lot of herbs, certain perennials, and things like that. You can see this is where a garden bed used to be. There's still a lot of improved soil, but this stuff has mustard seeds in it. I don't want to scrape that up and put it in the main bed. What I've also been doing, it feels kind of surreal to be walking on this since it used to be part of my garden. Right here, there used to be cinder blocks. Where'd they go? I've used a bunch of topsoil and filled this in and taken them all out. Wait till you see this. Because there seem to be too few. Where'd the rest of them go, I wonder? Maybe you're about to see. Oh yeah, this is going to be hugelkultured too. I'm raising it up an extra 6 inches or so. What I'm going to do is take all the perennials out, including the horseradish. Although the horseradish will actually bolt up through a ½ a foot of stratum. It doesn't even give a shit. It'll get leggy the first year and then it'll be just fine. It'll just extend its root upwards somehow. I don't know exactly how. What I'm going to do, these are the excess bricks that were there before underneath, is I'm going to raise this up. I'm going to take them out, level it off, more or less. I think I have to raise the back up a few extra inches, which is what these bricks will be for. I'm going to have extras. I'm going to have to use the rumble bricks that are over there too. What I'm going to do, level it off, remove the perennials off to the side for transplanting. Then I'm going to hugelkulture this too, and this one will get 2 layers of wood, probably fairly thin layers. That'll dissolve over time into better soil. This used to be filled with wood about a decade ago. Unfortunately, after a few years of cultivation, if you haven't added anything further, it will get, it'll get a little bit more bland. This soil is okay. In here, it is improved. It does have more tilth. It does have some organic content in it. It's just not great. And I want it to be great if I'm growing perennials. All these perennials, all these lilies, these irises, they have to be split again after only 2 or 3 years. And you look at this stuff, this stuff was cascading over the side. I don't even know exactly what it is. Some forest herb. It smells really good, almost a little bit catnipy, and I really like it. And it likes moist, dark areas. And once this is raised, I'm going to take clumps of that, put it all along the edges in here, and it'll be cascading over like ivy. And I want to do that all around the entire garden. And then I also want to have a second row for marigolds, annuals, stuff like that. This is basically, this end, the smaller end will be nothing but rhubarb. The bigger end is going to have perennials and also some horseradish. I want to basically move the horseradish to the other garden because I can't have it in both. It tends to take over. There's still a lot of stuff I have to weed. Of course, this area I haven't weeded yet. But I'm about 2/3 done, honestly, with everything except adding the soil. And I did use a little bit of non-natural mulch in here just to speed up the process. I know it's better to use natural, but I'm going to need so much for the back garden. It's like, I didn't even, I'm not going to have enough. See these sweet and sours? If you taste these, they literally taste sweet and sour. You can garnish your food with, I think it's a crucifer if I remember correctly. It's sort of a mustard relative if I remember correctly or something. But yeah, it's starting to look good. Pull those out. And this back here, I mean, it is attractive. When you look at it like this, it is a nice little path. It's literally right next to the berries. It's right next to the forest. It's right at the edge of the property. The edge of the property is literally right where I have the wood in there. I already measured it off. Our property line technically goes a little bit into these bushes. It's just that we haven't maintained them. There are also bricks in there I'm thinking of using because I don't need the path to continue so far through. This will all be removed. So this is all going to be pulled out, these cinder blocks that used to be along the garden fence. All this stuff is allowed to go fallow, and this is all good soil and stuff. It's going to make a nice chunk of lawn here. And that's about 1/3 of the garden area, but the thing is, because I've closed up so many paths and stuff in here, there's literally almost as much growing room. I could, in theory, take these stakes, put them around like, a few feet from the edge, have an irregularly shaped garden here and actually have enough crops to eat. Like I could actually have enough of the tomatoes, cucumbers, the collards, Brussels sprouts, which I'm going to do, and then the herbs and stuff. Because actually a lot of the crops, like I'm not going to do lettuce and spinach and stuff like that next year. I like it, but it's not, no, I'm not going to bother. Turnips I like. The only thing I would have to really do is like have corn and beans somewhere else. There's not enough sun here. That would be in the back, I guess. But instead, I am going to put in at least part of the new garden. I may not be able to get to it all because it's going to take hundreds of loads of brick and soil in order to make even part of the back area, as well as the fencing that has to be done. I'm probably going to hire someone to rototill the area. I've already delineated it with stakes. I'll rope it off. I'll have a couple dudes come in with rototillers and I'll say, rototill this up. Help me clean the lawn of all the debris, grass clippings, leaves, pine needles, little branches, and just pile them in there, and then I'll spread them out. And then by spring, that area, most of the grass and stuff will be dead. Only a few patches will remain. So then I'll just take the debris from the spring and do the same thing, and I'll make hugelkultur beds. I'll probably be able to put in 5 or 6 the first year. That'll be good for most of the crops. Anything excess I can put out here. Like, I mean, look at the size of this collard. And I haven't even been doing anything with these for the last month. Like, I've been neglecting them completely. I even slashed them down with that sword. Most of them, they recovered within a few days. It's actually a little bit weird that they're doing so well, considering they haven't been watered, they haven't been fertilized. Nothing's been done to them. I ripped a few out to make this path. But yeah, this is going to be a nice little area. Mostly herbs, flowers, and things. That's going to be a really nice garden when it's done, though. It's just going to take a while. It's going to take a lot of work. That's about all. Peace out.